There we go. Okay. So the session is being recorded and we'll post it on our webpage after it's complete. The format for tonight includes two presentations running approximately 10-15 minutes each. One from Celeste Goyer from the Casita Coalition, the other from Meghan Schwartz from our very own Community Development Resource Agency. And then we're going to reserve the final, approximately 20-25 minutes or so for questions and answers. We will take questions at the end via the Q&A function on your screen. So if you're familiar with Zoom, you can find that function at the bottom of your screen or top of your screen. I'm not sure which it is. Or we can also take some questions live. So you'll raise your hand and I can make it so that you can ask that question live. But be sure to use that raise hand feature, and I'll go over this all again towards the end of our session in order to ask that question. If we do not get to all the questions, if that happens, we're going to have you submit them to us via email, and I'll put an email address in the chat or put it in the Q&A function, and we'll make sure that we do our best to answer those and put those on our website so that we can get to everyone. So I would like to begin also by introducing our panelists tonight. So I had mentioned Celeste Goyer from Casita Coalition. She is the executive director of that organization. She has a background in operations and marketing for nonprofit and for-profit housing organizations in the states of California and Arizona. Celeste brings a strong commitment to collaboration and innovation in her role as the executive director at the Casita Coalition. We are also joined by Meghan Schwartz. Meghan Schwartz has 21 years of experience working for local government with an emphasis on land development. In January 2020, Meghan launched Placer County's ADU Resource Center, which has assisted with over 400 ADU applications since its inception. And then we're also joined by Patrick Hoffman. Patrick is a senior community development technician and front counter supervisor with 20 years of experience in land development. Patrick has worked with Placer County's front counter services since 2017 and has expertise with building and engineering permits. He assists a variety of customers every day, including developers and property owners with commercial and residential projects throughout the county. So I will pass the microphone on to Celeste. Go ahead, Celeste.
Thanks, Nikki, and thanks for asking us to be here. Casita Coalition is a nonprofit, and we have members who are ADU builders, designers, architects, nonprofit leaders, lenders, policy folks, all kinds of people, and homeowners too, who have come together to support our mission of making it easier to build ADUs and other middle housing forms to restore housing choice and variety to our neighborhoods. Next slide. And ADUs are a great tool to help us address the mismatch in housing and population that we have right now. And as a lot of folks know, most of our cities contain 70 to 75% parcels zoned just for single family dwellings. State ADU law has helped address that by allowing one, in most cases two, additional dwellings per lot. But the affordability crisis is real. As you see, only about 18% of California residents and less in some neighborhoods can afford a median price home. Household sizes are also dropping, but average new home size is still very, very large, making them unaffordable and also more than a lot of folks want to maintain. So ADUs are a great way to create affordable homes in previously exclusive neighborhoods. Next slide, please. And they have a lot of benefits, not just to the homeowners who build them, but also to the people who live in them and to our communities. And their great key is their flexibility. So what you might build first to be, say, a home office can become a place for your elder parents. It can become a place for you to downsize into. People prize their flexibility that an ADU creates. They're also naturally sustainable. And because they're smaller, they use fewer resources. Some surveys show about 45% of the resources of a full-size home. And they help us take care of each other. And as our lives change and the family needs change, ADUs are really a great strategy to provide income, to help support our bottom line, help us afford the maintenance and taxes on our homes, and to create these flexible multi-generational living options. They also reduce displacement and gentrification and help people stay in place and age in place. Next slide. And there are a bunch of different types of ADUs. So from the most common, detached, there are also attached, and those can be either to the side of the home or behind. Interior, we don't have too many basements in California, but you can have an ADU in a basement and above a garage. Converting a garage is one of the most common types as well, slightly less costly than a fully detached. Next slide. And an exciting opportunity we have this year in the legislature is AB 1033, sponsored by Assemblymember Phil Ting. This would allow California to join the other cities and states in the US who allow separate sale of ADUs. This could create a wonderful pipeline of affordable homes in our neighborhoods, in infill sites that will be much less costly. Studies show where this is commonly done that they're around 50 to 60% of the cost of a full-size home. And we're looking for California counties who want to be early adopters. So Placer County, we're coming for you. So hopefully you'll work with us on signing up to try this out for your homeowners. Next slide. Now this is an important slide if you're a homeowner thinking about what type of ADU you want to build if cost is a concern for you. So ADUs kind of fall into two general buckets. One is what we call the state exemption ADU, which is what the state allowance that anybody can build in virtually on any property. And they have a certain size constraint, up to 800 square feet. There are advantages to building this, sort of this protected size ADU. They, if they're under 750 square feet, they have no impact fees. Your city or county is limited to the amount of standards they can ask you to comply with if you choose this size of ADU that fits within these categories, 16 to 18 feet in height, and then 800 square feet or less. Also, it's worth noting if you've got a lot of interior space you're not using in your home, that's existing space, there's no size limit on interior conversions or detached. If you've got a big, let's say, a two-story garage that's detached and you want to convert the whole thing to an ADU and it would be 2,000 square feet, that's allowed under California state law. So there are a lot of moving parts and pieces. You need to work with a professional and go to your planning counter there in Placer County to talk to the good folks there who can guide you on your choices of their design and size of ADU, where you're thinking of placing it on the lot to be the most advantageous for your budget and for your family needs. Next slide. Casita Coalition has a number of resources that might be helpful to you if you're kind of just starting your ADU journey and you're still learning about why people build them and how they can help. We created these homeowner ADU stories. They're very short videos with people telling their own personal stories about why they built, what they built, and in a lot of cases, what it cost them. So you can check those out on our Casita Coalition YouTube channel. Next slide. It is a success story. California has achieved great things with our ADU reform. And they think roughly 63,000, it's higher than that now, have been permitted statewide since 2018 when the laws started to change. Casita Coalition was there at the beginning helping to co-write the laws that made this industry happen, basically, and opened up these opportunities for homeowners. It's now thought that around 20%, almost 20% of all housing types permitted in California are ADUs, which is amazing. And the approval level, most homeowners Zillow's just did a new survey too, showing that acceptance and approval of ADUs in our neighborhoods is very, very high. People love them. People are starting to understand how much they can be helpful. Next slide. But we also, Casita Coalition is also focused on a wider range, not just ADUs, but also the full range of what we call neighborhood scale homes. And you don't have to build a detached ADU to get the benefits of adding additional living space on your property. They can start at just sharing your home through a home sharing program. I know there are lots of good programs up there in your area that will help you find a housemate who has been background screened and compatibility matched, help you set up agreements, no renovation cost. On up to what we call a junior ADU. You'd be very lucky to get in for $5,000. It might be a little more than that, but you just need to close off the hallway with a door, add an exterior entrance, a kitchenette only, not even a full kitchen is necessary. Then you got a private space, which you can add a tenant there to bring in income, and also just to add some life around the house. If you're living alone, you're looking for some companionship. It's nice to have your privacy and the ability to socialize too. Some of our cities and counties in California have the ability for people to bring in a movable tiny house, a home on wheels that fall under different zoning codes, but that's a fast and very inexpensive way to do this. They're not technically an ADU, but they are being brought in under ADU rules in some places. Los Angeles, San Diego, Fresno, a lot of them now. That's another cost-effective option. Garage conversions, new detached, and then on up to the whole middle home spectrum of cottage clusters, townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, sixplexes. These all used to be legal in California. Our neighborhoods are full of older examples. They're still housing people affordably today. And Casita Coalition keeps working to re-legalize these forms so that they can serve our needs, our housing needs as we have them now. Next slide. And here's just an illustration of some of these middle housing types. And ADUs are at the smaller spectrum of that, although cottage clusters are also quite small. And there are some cities in California who are doing some really wonderful experiments with cottage cluster zoning. They have common green space and then private space for these small detached homes. It's a wonderful sort of mini neighborhood. And yep, so that's just to give you an idea of how well these neighborhood scale homes fit into our existing single family neighborhoods. Next slide. We have a lot of resources on Casita Coalition. If you're, as I say, just trying to learn about this, we've got guidebooks on garage conversions, ADU finance, multifamily ADUs, SB 9, that's the urban lot split and duplex bill, some different opportunities there to add an additional home to your lot. AARP is a wonderful guidebook if you go to the AARP website. And also your own planning and building departments have their own guidebooks and websites to provide you with all the information you might need to get started. Next slide. So we welcome you to join the Casita Coalition as a friend of Casita, to sign up for our newsletter and to check out all the resources we have on our website. We'd love to hear from you and work alongside us with a donation or as a sponsor or a member. You'll help bring our housing opportunities in line with what we need as residents today, so we can all thrive in our neighborhoods. Thanks.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that presentation, Celeste. If you are just joining us, we just received obviously a presentation from the Casita Coalition. That's the first part of our session this evening. And the second portion is a presentation from our very own staff here at Placer County, who works sort of day to day with individuals and property owners who are interested in permitting ADUs on their property. And so I'm going to pass the presentation over to Meghan Schwartz, who is going to talk about that process here at Placer County.
Thank you, Nikki. Celeste, that was awesome. You guys have so much good information. I learn something every time I listen to the Casita Coalition. So thank you guys for being here today. We Placer County would like to introduce our new round of pre-reviewed ADU master plans. Next slide. So we're first going to discuss where ADUs are allowed. So like Celeste said, every parcel with a residential zoning in the state of California is allowed to have up to 3 dwellings on their parcel. You could have a primary dwelling, an ADU that can be 1,200 square feet detached, or up to 50% of the square footage of the primary dwelling if it is attached. And you can have a JADU, which is 500 square feet or less, and built within the roof line of either the primary dwelling or the ADU. So basically a JADU is attached to either the primary or the ADU. Next slide. So some things that Placer County has to offer at our ADU Resource Center is we have an awesome ADU website with lots of great tools on it, and it's just getting better and better all the time. We have pre-reviewed ADU master plans, which I'll go into more detail about in just a minute. The website has a cost calculator on it. The cost calculator is a hands-on, user-friendly tool that can help determine construction costs, return on investment costs, and rental income, what fair market says you could rent the ADU out for. We offer, along with the rest of the state of California, reduced impact fees, and we have an awesome ADU team here to assist you throughout the entire process. Next slide. So we recently collaborated with 5 other local jurisdictions around us. So Nevada County, City of Auburn, City of Grass Valley, City of Nevada City, Truckee, Sierra County. Hope I didn't miss anybody, and we all together went through a contract cycle and obtained the use of 3 ADU master plans. So one of the master plans is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 661 square feet above a 661 square foot garage. We also have available a 2-bedroom, 1-bath ADU, 746 square feet with a garage option. And we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,194 square feet, also with a garage option. Next slide. So this is the 661, some renderings of the 661 square foot ADU above the garage. Super cute. Next slide. And the 746 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath with a garage option. I know it's hard to see here, but the garage is just added on to the back of the ADU. You're looking at it from the front door. All right, next slide. And the third plan we have available is 1,194 square feet with a garage option, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Next slide. So if you're interested in using these plans to build an ADU on your property, the best place to start is to schedule a one-on-one meeting with one of our ADU team members. So here is the email address, adu@placer.ca.gov. These meetings can be in person, over the phone, or virtual. We're going to ask you to get to know your property. You should know if you're on a well or public water, septic or sewer. You should know what the setbacks are, if there's any easements. And these are all things that we can discover together through our virtual meeting. Ultimately, really understanding your property is important. Knowing the building permit history on your property is super important, and more than likely we'll go through this together if you haven't done so before our meeting. So here is the link down here to submit online for building permit research if you wanted to do that now. And if you're unsure of what's been permitted or how old the permits are, it's a good idea to pull the building permit history on your property. Next slide. So once we have a good understanding that, you know, there's not going to be anything that's going to prevent you or make your project more expensive than you'd like it to be, then we can start working on what's needed to apply for the permit. We're going to ask you to complete a site plan. You can do the site plan yourself. I will provide you with instructions. You can hire someone to do the site plan for you. Next, we will provide you with a site-specific questionnaire that really just goes over what the plans have to offer and what different options you will need to choose from for that building set of plans. And then last, you will obtain a site-specific Title 24 report for your property and the set of plans that you choose. So the new round of plans are user-friendly. They're ultimately designed to be owner-builder. They come with a solar plan, they come with a foundation plan, and they're almost complete. Mostly what we need from you is the site plan and the Title 24. And with all of that, you'll be ready to apply for your permit. Thank you, Nikki.
Great, thanks for that presentation, Megan. So we are at a point in our presentation this evening where we're going to open this up for questions and answers. So if you are, you know, either a property owner on the line who has interest in, has a question about permitting an ADU, or any questions for Celeste about her presentation earlier, then you are welcome to put that question into the Q&A, or you can raise your hand and we can get that question answered live. So again, the two ways to submit a question: we've got a Q&A function on your screen. You can see that icon, or you can raise your hand and we'll take some of your questions live.
If I could start by just clarifying something that I think wasn't complete on one of my slides, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. When I was describing the two buckets of different types of ADUs, one of them being the by right, what we call a state exemption ADU, small 800 square feet or smaller. I forgot to mention the second bucket, and that is the local ordinance. So if you had a need for something larger than either 800 for a studio or one bedroom, or 1,000 square feet for a 2-bedroom and up, let's say you wanted to build something 1,200 square feet, it's still possible, but you just have to go through a slightly different process with your local city or county. And the streamlining benefits of the state exemption ADUs might make it slightly easier in some places. But there are advantages to choosing more square footage too. A lot of rentals are based on number of bedrooms. You might get more, more money for that, or you just might need it the space for your own family. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to comment on Celeste. So what you're saying, Celeste, too, is so Placer County has gone above what the state said with the 800 square feet. So what happened is the state passed all these laws incentivizing the development of ADUs back in 2020, and the state said every jurisdiction needs to allow a minimum of an 800 square foot ADU. And so Placer County has gone further than that, and we allow a 1,200 square foot detached ADU by right.
Oh, that's fantastic. And a lot of pro-housing and ADU-friendly jurisdictions are doing that, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Nikki.
Great. Okay, well, we do have several questions, so I'm going to take these in the order that they have come in. And the first question is, how do HOAs affect feasibility of ADUs, of developing an ADU?
So I can answer that. So So HOAs cannot prohibit the development of ADUs. They can have design standards, like they can tell you what color to paint it and what the roof shingle should look like, but they cannot prohibit the development of an ADU or JADU. By right, every property is allowed to have an ADU and a JADU.
And sorry, I'll kind of follow up on that. As far as the site restrictions, how might that affect, meeting setbacks or, standards relative to permitting that? How does that affect an ADU and on a lot in a development that has HOAs?
So again, state law trumps the HOA's previous standards. Side and rear setbacks can be 4 feet by right. Front setbacks are lot specific. So basically everything that's in Placer County's ADU ordinance applies even in HOA situations.
Great. Second question here, this is sort of an administrative one. How can we find the recordings online? So we will be posting the recordings at www.placer.ca.gov/. Oh, actually, let me put that in the chat. This is an old URL I'm reading off of. Let me put that in the chat where you registered for the virtual series. That is where the recordings will be. So let me put that link in the chat for everyone, along with an email address where you can send questions if you aren't able to get them answered today or put in our Q&A. So I'll put those 2 things in the chat, and we'll make sure that you have access to those recordings, which will be available on our website. Third question here, could you please clarify the impact fees? That's part 1. The second part, where do we get a fee sheet for ADUs?
Okay. So impact fees, the way the impact fees work for ADUs is 750 square feet or less. There are no impact fees except school impact fees. When an ADU is above 500 square feet, school impact fees will be applied. When it's below 500 square feet, there are absolutely no impact fees. When you go above the 750 square feet for an ADU, the impact fees become proportional to the size of the primary dwelling. So the way I like to explain it is, if you have a 2,400 square foot primary dwelling and you're building a 1,200 square foot ADU, you're going to pay 50% of those impact fees. A good average number of impact fees, if you were to pay 100% of it, is $20,000. So basically, 1,200 square foot ADU, 2,400 square foot primary, you're going to pay about $10,000 in impact fees. And I am more than happy to discuss your lot specific numbers with you when you're ready. What was the second part of that?
The second part of that is where do we get a fee sheet for ADUs in Placer County?
So we don't have a fee schedule for ADUs because of the impact fees. Patrick, maybe you want to discuss this one?
I would just chime in and say everything is really parcel specific. It's based on the primary dwelling, what your impact fees would be. So we don't really have a sheet to hand out, but we're more than happy to either go over that with you at the counter or over a virtual appointment about what your site specific fees would be.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're on mute, Nikki.
Thank you. So our next question is, I've applied for a permit and have a permit number, but when talking to PG&E, they requested an address and permit number to start the electrical study that will be needed. Will an address be provided during the permit process?
Yes. So correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, but a second address is assigned pretty quickly in the permit review process. So you might actually have a second address right now. If you wanted to send an email to Patrick or myself, we could look that up for you and let you know if that address has been assigned.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if it's possible, Nikki, to put our email addresses in the chat.
I can do that. I'm putting Bethany's in right now. So
Perfect.
I'll put Patrick and Megan's in as well.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, here is another follow-up question. It was mentioned there are no impact fees for under 750 square feet. Can you confirm this?
So there is no impact fees for 500 square feet or less when you're building above 500, between 500 and 750 square feet, you will pay school impact fees.
Okay, another question here. How many ADUs have been permitted since 2020 and how many have been completed?
Okay.
Do they mean in Placer County or in California?
I know Meghan probably has, Meghan has maybe Placer, not at her fingertips. You may need to go search for that. But
I can give you some good numbers. So we've had 400 applications come in, and an estimate, I think we've had about 25% of those built, and let's say 50% of those permitted.
Some are still in progress.
Yes. So just depending on each specific property, which when you schedule a one-on-one meeting with me, you're going to have a good understanding of how complicated it is going to be to build an ADU on your property or how easy it's going to be. I mean, things that make it complicated are septic systems that don't perk for a standard septic system. If you need to put in an engineered system that costs $40,000, that might be over your budget. If you have easements going through all different parts of your property, that could make it difficult. If you're on public sewer, public water, a flat lot, I mean, it's going to be super easy to put an ADU on your property. So it's really lot specific, and I can help you figure out how complicated it's going to be. And
I can address the California question. HCD, the California State Housing and Community Development Agency, has a dashboard, an interactive dashboard for all sorts of homes that have been built. And you can select for just ADUs, you can select the years you want. And their estimate, it's not complete for 2022. Not all jurisdictions have uploaded their data from their housing element annual progress report yet. But roughly speaking, about 57,000 have been permitted since 2020, and around 36,000 have been completed.
Wow. That's cool.
I know the numbers are higher than that.
So cool.
All right, let's see. Next question here. Can an HOA reject the pre-approved plans based on architectural standards?
I think we'll probably want to talk about that one offline. Just depends on the HOA and yeah, there's a lot of, most HOAs have come around and know that this is a by right thing. So we could discuss that in more detail.
Yeah, we could do a little more research and get the answer to that posted online. Okay. Yes. Excellent. All right, well, we've got quite a few questions here, so I'm going to keep rolling. In addition, once the permit is approved, so different person asking it. Once the permit is approved, are we allowed to start at the foundation prior to doing the septic work, or is there an order that needs to be followed?
So it all needs to be applied for at the same time. The permit for the septic and the permit for the building permit is applied for at the same time. They'll get issued at the same time. And then how the order of getting the work done is up to you.
All right. Let's see. When I was at the building department, they told me here's some different park fees. Different building permit fees. So someone is kind of restating what those fees are. Maybe what we can do is
send us an email.
Yeah, and then get some specific fee schedule stuff
Yep.
out to that person. Great. Next question here. On county property, can existing septic be used if leach lines are added? And then follow up to that, what about a well?
So I'm going to recommend for specific septic and well questions to reach out to environmental health, because they're going to want to pull your property specific file and see how to guide you appropriately. So the best way to email environmental health is business@placer.ca.gov.
Let me get that into the chat. So environmental health questions can go to, say that again.
business@placer.ca.gov.
Okay, so I dropped that into the chat.
Thanks, Nikki.
Great. Next question here. Would I be able to build an ADU and sell that portion of my land and the ADU? How long would that take?
At this point in time, no, unless you did a property split, then it would become two separate sellable pieces of property. But again, this is a very specific question. I think lot specific questions, we should have them reach out and we'll discuss those, because there's not really a general answer.
Sure. Yeah. And there's all sorts of answers kind of bound up in SB 9 and urban lot splits and all that stuff too. We can actually put some of that again into some responses on our website as a follow-up.
And this stuff is on, like, we have FAQs on the ADU website. You guys check it out. We have a great website that could probably answer a lot of your questions. And if not, then reach out to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Just generally speaking, at this time, California state law does say you can't sell an ADU separately.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you can split the lot, but you're going to have to split it with the main home and the ADU on the same section so far, unless AB 1033 passes, and then you can condoize. Using a condo regime, you can split the lot and separate the structures.
So there's definitely ways to get creative.
Okay. Let's see here. There are some some of my other panelists can probably see some of these. There's one specific to electric pole easements. I'm not entirely sure what the context of that one is, but again, that seems like a site specific question. Megan, did you?
Yeah. If we could just skip over the site specific questions, and not that we want to skip your questions, but it really should be a one-on-one discussion. And I'm more than happy to set aside some time to meet with all of you.
Great. Okay, here's a good one, a broad one about the goals for permitting ADUs. So by year end 2023, what are our goals for permitting ADUs in Placer County?
Well, to beat last year's goal or last year's numbers, right? And last year, hold on, I'm pulling it up. We did, in 2022, we had 190 applications come in, and 110 of those were issued. So 110 during the building permit year of 2022, 110 permits were issued. So we want to beat that.
And what I might do, I'll pull out, I don't have this right at my fingertips, but I'm scrolling through the housing element programs right now. I know that we have some goals in the housing element cycle. So that is between 2021 and 2029. We don't have it split out by year, but more broadly, I can drop that into the chat to kind of share what our goals in the housing element cycle are.
Yeah, that's the real goal.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll do that research while you maybe answer this next question. Let's see. For a new detached ADU, do you require a survey or just a site plan?
Just a site plan.
Okay.
You know what, Nikki, I can start going through these questions.
Do you want to take them on? Okay, there's quite
Yeah.
a few here, and I'll do a little bit of research in the housing element and drop that into the chat.
Yeah, so the answered ones are ones we already answered, right? And then open we still.
That's right.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so got that. And then, so covered deck, Patrick, I might need your help with this one. So I see covered decks are allowed up to 300 square feet. If deck has open area, does that get subtracted from the limit? So do you know covered deck
that would still be considered covered if it has like skylights in it. Okay. It would have to be uncovered to be considered uncovered.
Yeah, so ADUs are allowed to have a 300 square foot covered deck. So then I see Natasha. Hi, Natasha. We've talked a lot. So you were under the impression that the 750 square foot or less would have no impact fees. But the ADU master plan is a 746 square foot plan, and that's the one that Natasha has chosen to build. And so that permit will have impact fees, yes. So the impact fees, the school impact fees, sorry, you'll only have school impact fees. And it's approximately $6 a square foot for that impact fee. Shortly, we'll be sending you the school districts that you need to be getting into contact with in regards to that building permit. So, okay, next question is to Celeste and myself. Is a crate addition considered a viable ADU? So I'm assuming, and maybe Celeste wants to answer this, but I'm assuming you're talking about like a kit, an ADU kit. So whenever you're wanting to build an ADU that is not a custom design stick built ADU or a manufactured home, or using one of our pre-approved plans, if you're talking about doing a kit home or a box home, I always suggest finding out where in California these homes have been permitted, what jurisdictions. Every jurisdiction in California builds to the same building code. Find out where they've been permitted, reach out to that jurisdiction and ask how hard it was to get that permitted, and then come to Placer County. We have not had a lot of creative building done yet, but we're open to it. So again, if there's a product you like and you find another jurisdiction where it has been permitted, reach out to me and I'll help you figure out how to get that through Placer County.
And Crate appears to be a modular builder, and certainly it looks like they have multifamily projects, but I'm not immediately seeing their ADU product. But yes, modular ADUs are allowable if they meet the codes, the appropriate codes.
Yeah, modular, they're a great option.
Yeah, absolutely. They can cut your on-site construction time incredibly, which can be helpful to avoid disruption on your lot. And yeah, they're built under controlled conditions in factories. So both manufactured homes and modulars, prefab, are all built off-site. They're also now hybrids, panelized, because not all lots are appropriate for delivery of modular, fully off-site built units in one piece. You might have overhead obstructions where you can't bring a crane in. You might have very twisty, winding roads to your property where you can't get a big truck up there. But now we have a lot more flexibility and lots of companies that can deliver in pieces, what they call panelized. So there's a company out there that'll build something that works for your spot, regardless of the type of construction you pick.
Thank you, Celeste. So the next question is, should an ADU be smaller than the first house built? Can I make the ADU 1,200 square feet if the first house is a tiny home or smaller? So yes, Patrick, do you want to answer this one? So, okay, basically they're saying, sorry.
No, you're good.
You looked confused. So they're saying first home is, let's say 800 square feet, and now they're building a 1,200 square foot. Which one's going to be the ADU? Well, you'll pay if you build larger than the primary home and it's above 750 square feet, you're going to pay impact fees. So this is lot specific.
This is yeah.
Okay, let's.
But basically, like if you build the smaller house first, and that's the first house on your lot, you're going to be charged full impact fees.
Yep.
So then when you go to build the second structure, those will be the reduced fees.
Perfect. Thank you, Patrick.
You're
and
welcome.
Send us an email if you want us to look at your lot.
Yeah.
But even if your primary home is smaller, you still have the protected state 800 square foot minimum that you can build for your ADU.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Sprinklers, what are sprinkler requirements, and solar? So sprinklers, if the primary dwelling has sprinklers, the ADU is going to be required to have sprinklers. If the primary does not have sprinklers, the ADU will not be required. Solar, every new residential dwelling in the state of California is required to have solar, unless it's a manufactured home. Manufactured homes are not required to have solar.
I think there are some, there is an exemption for very small ADUs that that recently went through in Energy Code. But so I can send you that number.
Yeah, like 150 square feet.
That's right. I think 160 or less, some kind of really small number.
Okay. If a nonprofit owns the ADU, can it be sold?
Yes. In state law, there's an exemption for nonprofits that own properties, and Habitat for Humanity and some others, some community land trusts are doing this in order to maximize the home ownership opportunities on a lot. They're actually selling the ADU separately.
Wow.
So it's wonderful. And it's working out really well for some programs.
All right. Thanks, Celeste. What is the biggest obstacle to building an ADU in Placer County? I think septic makes it hard. Septic can make it hard. I think, yeah, I mean, it can be not that big a deal, or it can be a really big deal. I also think there's not a lot of flat lots in Placer County. So that can make, grading can make things complicated.
Are there utilities? What about getting electric? Do you have slowdowns, scheduling issues with whoever your electric company is?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like the first person you should call is PG&E, and they'll be the last one at your property after your house is built. They're just buried. So if you're planning on building an ADU in 3 years, call PG&E today.
Hey, Megan, I just want to take a quick moment. We do have a lot of questions in the chat, and we're going to keep answering them until 7 o'clock. But before we do, I wanted to make the plug that if we do not get to your question, we will come up with a kind of question and answer sheet after this session and make sure those get posted on the website. So do not worry. We'll make sure that we address your questions. We only have 9 minutes left here to take each of these. And then I did want to, I had mentioned this was one series in one presentation in a series of 4. This session is actually being presented back to back tomorrow with a session on financing ADUs. So if you are interested in financing an ADU, we have Laura Levine from US Bank, right, Megan?
Yep.
US Bank, who's going to be talking about that. And Megan will probably give an overview again on, basic overview on permitting an ADU in Placer County. But our focus tomorrow evening, 6 to 7 p.m., is on financing an ADU, and the registration link for that is also on our website. I put that in the chat, so I think I enabled the chat, so hopefully you can see the link to the speaker series where you can go to register, who to send follow-up questions to, and that kind of thing. We do have a fourth session, and Celeste, you kind of alluded to this in your presentation. It is on missing middle housing, and it is kind of just a really broad discussion of what that means, what it is, and the typologies that fall under missing middle. So I'll invite you all to visit our website, learn more about those subsequent sessions, and register if you're interested in those other topics. So Meghan, I'll have you take it away again as we work through our last 7 minutes here.
I just wanted to mention as well, if we don't get to one of your questions here in the webinar, you can always come into our front counter. Our counter hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4, and Wednesday is 9 to 4. We're here to help you and answer any of your questions, walk you through the process, and just wanted to make sure that was available to you.
Yeah, and the benefit of coming into the front counter, if you have some time, is you get to talk to all the departments at once. So you can meet with me, and we could do that over the phone. We could do that virtually, or you can come into the front counter and talk to planning, environmental health, engineering, building, all in one day, and get lots of good information. And then they'll probably still have you call me just to make sure they're not missing anything. So you'll get everybody. Thanks, Patrick.
Yep.
So the next question is, what additional outreach plans does Placer County have in promoting ADUs beyond the seminar? So, ADUs, Placer County is super supportive of ADUs, and we're just going to continue to be here for you. And as new things come out, then we will continue to let you know. Please feel free to reach out to any of us at any point. We want to help you. Will the fire department need to approve the ADU? Yes. The fire department reviews every building permit. So the next question is, will the incorporated cities around Placer County accept the building permits? Right now, these plans are approved for the unincorporated Placer County, as well as City of Grass Valley, City of Nevada City, Town of Truckee. Something I totally didn't mention, but is super awesome. This latest round of master plans is approved for Tahoe snow loads. So East County, there's 4 different snow load options on these plans. But right now, the incorporated cities are not approved to use these plans.
Well, they're not pre-approved, but you could still apply with them, couldn't you?
So they would have to reach out to the engineer that designed the plans, because technically Placer County does not own these plans. They're owned by the engineer who designed the plans, and any modifications, anything that is not the unincorporated Placer County goes back to the engineer. Someone's asking what the average cost is for building an ADU, it looks like. I'd say talk to contractors. Every contractor charges something different. Use our cost calculator, depending on if you're in Meadow Vista, Loomis, Auburn. Prices change just based on that. If you're on septic or well, really do your research and get a good idea of what the ADU is going to cost, and then add 15% to that as a contingency is what I tell everybody.
And then there's a question about the cost for using the pre-approved plan set.
Oh yes, so the pre-approved plans are $1,200.
But to commission your own custom plan, is a lot more than that. Generally, it can be from 10 to 20. It's definitely going to save you to use the version that's already been created.
Right. It'll save you money and time. That's a good point.
And time. Yeah.
Yeah, to go out and have someone design your own plans. I mean, you put a lot higher numbers in there. I was thinking $9,000. So to have pre-approved plans through Placer County at $1,200 is gonna save you a lot of heartache.
Not to mention all those decisions.
Ugh, I know. All right. Oh, someone I see on here, can we still use the previously approved plans? So the previously approved, so what they're saying is we had a round of plans and we let those plans expire when the building code expired December of 2022. They weren't used that much, and they didn't come with a foundation. They didn't come with solar. There was still a lot that the property owner needed to do. So this new round of plans comes with everything except for, even the Title 24 for the $1,200. So they're great plans. If you are interested, schedule a meeting with me and we'll get you set up. I think that's it, Nikki.
Yeah, I was going to answer the question about, no, we have 1 minute left. So someone had asked a question about the goal for producing ADUs. So there is a goal in our housing element to produce 700 ADUs in the housing element cycle. So that's between 2021 and 2029. That's an 8-year period. So that's, less than 100 ADUs per year. There are some additional goals around some other programs. One, a prototype ADU program, which Meghan has kind of been talking about, and then a potential loan program, which we have not done a loan program for ADUs. But that is that 700 figure sets a rough target of about 100 per year. So, all right. Well, we are right at 7 o'clock. And I want to thank everyone for asking great questions and staying on the line. As mentioned, feel free to please do actually check out our website. And I did enable the chat. Looks like, okay, people are actually using it now. So that's great. But check out the website in the chat. The recording will be uploaded in the next couple of days. We'll get to some of the questions that that we didn't get to. And then as Patrick mentions, definitely want to encourage you to reach out to Patrick or Meghan with site-specific questions if you do have them and you are interested in permitting an ADU in Placer County. So with that, thank you so much for being with us this evening, and have a great night. And Celeste, thank you so much for being here. We so appreciate your time.
Sure, it's my pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
You bet, you bet. We'll have Bethany circle back with you, and we'll stay in touch.
Beautiful. It's wonderful to have an ADU friendly jurisdiction where your staffers are just so willing to help people. So